Never assume you can take what doesn't belong to you, because sometimes the person you think you can walk all over is the same person who ends up teaching you the lesson of your life. This story proves it. A woman parked her car in a black man's private garage, thinking she had the right, but she didn't know he had the power to lock her car inside. And what happened after? It shocked the whole neighborhood, and it might just shock you too. This isn't just a story about a car being parked where it shouldn't be. It's about something deeper. It's about respect. It's about boundaries. And it's about what happens when someone entitled decides to cross those boundaries and runs into somebody who's not afraid to stand their ground. The reason this story went viral is simple, because we've all been there. We've all dealt with someone who thought they could do whatever they wanted, no matter how unfair it was to us. And this time, that kind of entitlement met its match. Meet Deshaun Carter. He's a 38-year-old father of two, a man who worked two jobs for years, days in it, nights delivering packages, until he saved up enough to finally buy his first home. It wasn't just a house to him. It was peace. It was security. It was a promise to his kids that they'd always have somewhere safe to sleep. But sometimes peace doesn't last long when you've got the wrong kind of neighbors. Just 3 months after moving in, Deshaun started noticing something odd. A car kept showing up near his house. At first, it was harmless, parked across the street, then a little closer, halfway blocking his driveway, then right in front of his mailbox so the mailman had to skip his house. He brushed it off at first. Maybe it was a visitor. Maybe someone had too many cars and didn't have room in their own driveway. But soon, he realized it wasn't an accident. Because one night, after working a late shift, he pulled up to his house, hit the garage remote, and stopped in shock. The garage door wasn't empty. Inside was a white SUV, sitting in his spot like it belonged there. Now imagine that for a second. You've been working all night, you're tired, you just want to pull into your garage, and there it is. Someone else's car sitting where your car should be. At first, Deshaun thought maybe his cousin had stopped by. Maybe a delivery guy made a mistake. But then he noticed something. The garage door keypad on the outside, the one with the little numbers, was slightly smudged. Someone had punched in random codes until, by chance, the default code opened the garage. That's when he realized this wasn't an accident. Someone had intentionally parked in his garage. He walked around the SUV, looking inside. The doors were locked. On the passenger seat, he saw a half-empty coffee cup. In the back, a child's car seat. This wasn't some random abandoned car. This was someone who thought his garage was free real estate. And that someone, her name was Linda. But around the neighborhood, everybody called her something else, Karen. Linda had a reputation. She'd been living there for years, and people knew her as the type who made everything her business. If your trash bin was on the curb 5 minutes past pickup, she'd call the HOA. If your kids were riding their bikes after dinner, she'd step outside and yell about noise. She even once reported a man for grilling after 9 p.m., saying the smoke disturbed the community. So yeah, it wasn't shocking that the car in Deshaun's garage belonged to her. Now Deshaun had options. He could have called the tow company. He could have called the police. But instead, he did something smarter. He pulled out his garage remote, clicked the button, and watched the door come down. He locked her car inside. And in that moment, he didn't just lock a car. He took back control. And if you think that was bold, just wait until you hear what happened the next morning when Linda came to get her car back. Sure enough, the very next day, Deshaun was sitting in his living room when he heard pounding on his front door. It was Linda, red-faced, screaming loud enough for the whole street to hear. "You can't keep my car locked in there. This is illegal." Deshaun calmly opened the door, stepped out, and asked her one simple question. "Why was your car in my garage to begin with?" That's when she froze. She didn't expect him to ask that. She didn't expect him to put the focus back where it belonged, on her actions. Instead of answering, she tried to spin it. She said she thought the garage was community parking. She said the keypad must have been broken and opened on its own. She even claimed she thought his house was vacant. But none of that made sense. Everyone knew he lived there. Everyone had seen him moving in months ago. Linda was gaslighting, trying to twist the story so she looked like the victim. But this time, it wasn't going to work. By now, neighbors were outside. Some were pretending to water their lawns. Others had their phones out recording, and Linda knew it. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911, and told the police that Deshawn was harassing her and refusing to let her leave. When the officers arrived, she turned on the tears. She claimed she was scared. She claimed he trapped her. But here's the thing, truth has a funny way of coming out. The officers walked over, asked Deshawn what happened. He explained calmly, showed them his proof of ownership, explained how she broke into his garage and parked without permission. And then neighbors stepped in. They showed the officers the videos they'd recorded, videos of Linda screaming, videos of her pounding on the door, videos proving that she wasn't trapped, her car was. That changed everything. Instead of Deshawn being in trouble, Linda was facing trespassing charges. And just like that, the story flipped. And if you think that was wild, wait until you hear what happened when Linda tried to sue him afterward. Click here, you won't believe it. But let's pause for a second, because here, where this story gets even deeper. When the video of the confrontation hit the internet, it went viral almost overnight. People reposted it with captions like, "Karen tries to steal garage, gets locked in instead." The comment section exploded. Some people cheered Deshawn on. That's what happens when you mess with the wrong man. Others argued he went too far. He should have just called the tow company. But the more the debate grew, the more the story spread. Within a week, it was all over TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And that's when Linda decided she wasn't done. She filed a civil complaint, claiming Deshawn caused her emotional distress. She argued that locking her car inside the garage was false imprisonment. Yes, you heard that right. She claimed her car had rights. The case went to court, and suddenly this little neighborhood drama became a legal battle. In court, Linda tried to play the victim again. She cried on the stand, saying she felt unsafe. She even said Deshawn had intimidated her by standing outside with his arms crossed. But then Deshawn's lawyer pulled out the videos, the ones neighbors had recorded, the ones that showed her screaming, lying, and calling the police to flip the story. The jury didn't take long. They ruled against her. Not only did she lose the case, but she was ordered to pay Deshawn's legal fees. And when that verdict came out, the internet lit up all over again. At the end of the day, this story wasn't just about a car being parked in the wrong spot. It was about standing up for yourself. It was about boundaries. And it was about what happens when entitlement collides with someone who refuses to be silent. Deshawn didn't yell. He didn't fight. He didn't threaten. He simply closed his garage door and waited. And that simple act exposed everything Linda tried to hide. The lesson here is clear. Respect goes both ways. If you don't respect other people's property, don't be surprised when they stop respecting your excuses. Subscribe if you got value from this video.